This episode of the Golf Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. SGPN is teaming up with Shady Rays for Shady May. Get 50% off your Shady Rays using promo code SGPN. Then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win $500. All right, DJs, welcome back to the AT&T Byron Nelson Best Bet Show with your boy Boston Capper, the god of golf himself, Steve Schirmer, and very special guest, aptly timed, Byron Lindeque, the model maniac. What's up, brother?
Hey, happy to be here for my tournament. It was awesome hacking it up with you boys prior to going live, and as always, had a good time so far. I'm looking forward to, giving the people what we've enjoyed prior. So, just pumped for a horrible tournament.
Have you had a conversation with Jay Monahan about how the Byron Nelson, your tournament, always gets crapped on, doesn't get a good field? Have you kind of been trying to negotiate with him in order to create elevated status for this thing, or are you just content with having the David Lingmerths or the DJ
Muffy?
I forget the last one. Yes,
Muffy or Duffy or something like that.
yeah, Duffy Waldorfs or whatever it is. Come to this tournament.
No, it's in the pipeline, but I think a lot of my emails to old Jay are kind of getting the deleted to the trash box kind of international treatment. Greg and the Australians, New Zealanders, Madagascans, and us South Africans all kind of in the same realm there. So there's a lot that's going on, and I hope, hopefully he reads him sometime soon and we can get this tournament popping like it should be.
Mm-hmm. All right. So for those who aren't watching, Byron has the ugliest hat I've ever fucking seen. So I would like you to address this horrific Jets hat that I was staring at.
I've been a Jets. So I arrived in the United States 2011. The Jets had just gone back-to-back AFC Championship appearances in 2009 and 2010. I didn't know what an AFC was or an NFC. I didn't know what a division was. I was 19, horny, and I chose the Jets because I had family out in New York. Turns out I would have won 2 Super Bowls if I went Giants, but here we are sitting as a Jets fan, the thumb up my butt, and now it's finally time. I think we can be the most excited we've been in a long time, and I say that every year, but I really mean it this year.
Yeah, so 2010. So you've only had about a little over a decade worth of misery being a Jets fan. So what would you put the odds at that Aaron Rodgers walks out on the season this season? Like, you guys have the most stellar way of ruining any quarterback who walks in that room.
Wow. I would say 0%. I feel like our defense would not let him out the building.
Oh, that's fair. All right.
We got that good a defense. So I think we'll be fine. I think he's just there to manage the game. I don't think we're going to be relying on Rodgers to do too much for us this year. I think he's going to be kind of make sure he can hit those play action bombs, which Zach Wilson was incapable of doing, and hitting the screen passes that Zach Wilson was incapable of doing last year, along with the other 2 warm bodies we had, behind that offensive line. So very warm, very lukewarm.
Very lukewarm. Yeah. Noted game manager, and definitely doesn't make up plays on his own. Aaron Rodgers is there to manage the game. Absolutely. 100%.
I mean, look, let's give Zach Wilson a little bit of credit. I mean, he would usually complete that screen pass just would be to the other team. So yeah. Or just ground ball drills, like in that Thursday night game. That was just horrible. So all right. Well,
I got no room to talk shit. They're going to be better than the Patriots this year, so it is what it is.
That's true. I mean, you might be trading for Zach Wilson a little bit if Matt Jones falls on your face. This year. Yeah.
No, we got Bailey Zappi. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. The savior.
Yeah, exactly. All the mouth breathers in Boston sports radio calling in for him.
Yeah, it's weird that now I'm a Giants fan. I can actually say that I have a trump card on my co-host that I actually have the better quarterback. I never thought I would ever say that about Daniel Jones, but it's a very low bar.
We'll see what happens when Billy O'Brien gets in there. And
okay.
I mean, listen, we still have shit wide receivers. I mean, our number 1 and number 2 is Devontae Parker and Juju Smith-Schuster. So we're pretty fucked on that front. So that's pretty
awesome. Okay. You get ready for that 6th round wide receiver that's going to get buried in the practice squad by week 4. I've already heard a little bit of buzz about him.
No, yeah, super, super awesome. Can't wait.
Go. All right, well, why don't we transition back to Byron's term with the Byron Nelson. And look, I mean, like you mentioned, this is a very kind of a tough week, a tough scene with this field. And, I love your show. I love how you put your whole dashboard up there. You have all these numbers, and probably with your model this week with some of the crap players in this field, it's got to be kind of a tough scene to look at. And not to mention the fact this is a putting contest. So, I mean, like, you're such a numbers guy. I'm assuming that ball striking trends is such a big thing for you, but then you come to a putting contest like this. how do you kind of make some adjustments as far as like what type of players you're looking for? Are you still kind of looking for guys who are trying to level with the ball striking, or do you kind of throw that out the window and be like, all right, I just want guys to get like hot with the putter, make a lot of birdies, do you maybe like deviate from like maybe your normal plan?
Normal plan as always. I will always preach approach is king. You cannot win a golf tournament if you're not hitting your irons well. For the most part, unless your name's like Cam Smith or something. But there's, I digress. But I have included strokes gained putting on bent grass from 5 to 15 feet quite heavily. And I've got about 15% of my rating as putting this week, which I think from 5 to 15 feet is a reliable metric from a putting standpoint. Putting 15% of just putting in there, I don't know how I feel about that. But from 5 to 15 feet at this golf course where we've got a lot of long irons, but there's a really increased amount of proximity numbers that we'll experience here, even though we're hitting that many long irons into these greens. I think there's a lot of those back bumpers, on the back of these greens that kind of funnel balls closer. So from 5 to 15 feet on bent, very important this week. Easy scoring conditions, very important. And then just kind of making birdies and struggling on par fives. Dominating on par fives is what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
we don't want them struggling on par five.
No, you definitely do not. Yeah, that's kind of what I went for. One of the things I was trying to kind of wrap my brain, I was trying to look at how Kay actually won this thing. And I looked back the two times he did. And one of them was he was kind of putting like Luke List and then all of a sudden just randomly turned it around this term. And then last year, nothing was really working and then just found a little something at Quail Hollow. And then that led him to, I guess, another win. So I kind of went with that little bit of approach, either taking, all right, maybe guys who, there's a couple of examples of guys who are really a ball strikers, just haven't really putt, maybe they turn around or just found something Quail Hollow, or kind of like what you just mentioned. Look at some tournaments where I know the winning score was like 20 under, 25 under. You got some top 10s, top 15s there. You can handle this type of environment, these easier golf courses. There's definitely a name I'm going to mention tonight that is the king of all of those. But yeah, that was kind of my general strategy. It was a difficult week. That is like trying to identify why KH Lee won this back-to-back basically gave me an aneurysm. It didn't make any sense to me. Like, I can't figure this out.
Yeah, there's listen, but trying to understand why KH Lee would win one time, never mind back to back is tough enough. Never mind.
Right. Yeah, and he's in better form this time around, so he's going to win by about 15.
Dude, if he wins again, it would be the funniest fucking thing in the world.
No, this show's over
from the Byron Nelson to KH Lee Championship AT&T.
Well, that and this show's over at that point. If it's just that easy to just go with KH Lee, the Byron Nelson, we don't need to do a show anymore. Okay, you don't need our advice.
Yeah. Matt Fitzpatrick, if you vacationed there as a child or played it, amateur. KH Lee at the Byron, and what are some other ones?
Bet Rory next week because he married a Rochester girl. That's
Spieth in Texas.
Yep, Ryan Palmer on John Rahm courses. So go with that stuff. Why do you need our info here? So, all right, why don't we take a quick break and then we'll start getting into our betting card.
All right. Well, listen, Shady Rays is teaming up with the SGPN for Shady May. Not only do you get an amazing 50% off, but you also get a chance to win $500. They got you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customized snow goggles, and much more. Shady Rays have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures, and that's not all. They offer the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break a pair, even on day one, they tell us they'll send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. So wear Shady Rays with confidence because they got your back long after your purchase. And if you don't love them, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop for Shady Rays. Their team always has your back. So go to shadyrays.com and use promo code SGPN for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Then take your receipt to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win $500 in the Shady May contest.
Okay.
All
right. Let's jump right into the Byron Nelson betting card. So Byron, our very special guest tonight, why don't you kick it off with who you bet outright for the AT&T Byron Nelson?
I'll give you my first guy, and then we can chat, a little bit more because I think my next two are 100 and 150 to 1. So
I like it. Love it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm minorly exposed this week for some reason. I just couldn't get convinced on anybody, even though I knew I was coming onto the betting show after advocating, skip me in the DFS, hit me up in the betting. I'm all about the bets. Picks 3 outrights from 60 to 1 to 150. So we go. Currently at 50 to 1 on the betting market, Tom Hoagie. Okay. I love what he can get up to. I've recently updated my model using like good shot percentage, which means like elite shots from specific ranges. And Tom Hoagie leads the field with Scotty Scheffler in this field. He leads that category, and Scotty's second, but he just hits a lot more worse shots than Scotty. But this week, I'm banking on upside. 60-1 over there at Bet Rivers was a great number for me for someone that he's hot or not. You know, like he's got one of the worst made cut rates for someone that's got one of the highest T20 percentages in the field. So he comes and goes. He does what he wants. And I love his long iron play on this field. He putts really nicely from 5 to 15 feet on bent. And, you know, he's one of these guys that you kind of just want to catch with a hot frying pan. And I'm not entirely sure what that means, but it's something that, you know, I like about Tom Hoagie this week. I think he's had some time off to kind of get his game and hit the casinos a bit, get his, you know, craps game under control, and now hit those greens and throw some dice, baby.
Yeah, let's hope he was on a bad losing streak over the last 3 weeks, and he knows he needs to get out and cash a big paycheck to make up all his gambling debts.
Yep, there you go. Well, I also had the 60-1 on Tom Hoagie from Bet Rivers as well for a lot of the same reasons you did. You know, kind of looking for guys who are really good ball strikers, maybe a little streaky with the putter, but I do see in some of his recent form, some pretty good putting weeks. You know, it might not be in your model. It's not in my model, but I see it on Data Golf here that they actually estimate how he did at the Zurich, and he looked really good on his own ball. I mean, he putted really well. The irons came back a little bit after a really bad performance at Heritage. So, you know, kind of like what I mentioned earlier, occasionally kind of got hot in his last tournament, carried over the Byron Nelson. And I've seen Tom Hoagie go really low for a guy who I don't really perceive as a guy with a hot putter, just a good ball striker, but like a third at Kapalua, that was, I think, like 25 under was a winning score there. Fourth at Shriners last fall. Everybody was pretty low there. You got, I think he finished second at the Amex, the one Hudson Swafford won, a lot of birdies there. So, you know, a third of Mayakoba, a couple other top fives at like Greenbrier and some of those places. So I know he can go low at a tournament like this. And I know the ball striking is going to be there. I really like Tom Hoagie this week. So that's 2 for 2. For
could hold at TPC Sawgrass.
I know. How crazy was that? Unconscious.
That's the thing. That's what you're hoping for from him this week, kind of thing. Just give me those kind of ball striking numbers, and off we go.
All right. So, all right. You guys both got Hoagie at 60.
There you go.
I don't know if you guys sold me on. I don't know if you sold me on that.
Oh, all right. We tried.
Trust them.
We tried.
There's a 50 out there, which I still think is very fine. You know, especially for someone that's.
Yeah, listen. So it's just I literally only have 2 outrights right now and 2 matchups. I'm here to listen and facilitate tonight. I was very busy. So my lowest guy that I bet right now is Seamus. We talked about him last night. 40-1. I think that's a fair number for this field. It seems like he kind of figured everything out last week. I mean, he was green across the board. Prior to that, his irons off the tee, putting, and nothing was working. So it's pretty interesting to me. Like, he seems like once he figures it out, he goes on like a 5 or 6 week pretty strong run. This is a really fucking weak field. He plays TPC courses decently. So Seamus at 40. And look, to be perfectly honest, I'm completely terrified that Scotty's just going to come out with his fucking C game and boat rate this place with that fucking 3.5-1. So it's like, ugh, God, Scotty's terrifying.
But is he going to be able to do that? Really, if he does like a typical Scotty putting performance and gains 0 strokes putting?
Yeah. I think he can. Like,
I think if his putter doesn't show up, it's like an 11th place finish for him.
Yeah. If he gains 0.25, it's a win, basically.
Right.
Yeah. So he lost a half a stroke at RBC, came in 11th. Much better field, right? Yeah. Lost a stroke at API, came in 4th. It's not with a field like this, he could still lose a half a stroke to a stroke and fucking crush some of these guys.
I mean, it depends on the tournament though. Some of those tournaments are more heavily weights or where you can separate yourself with the ball striking a little more with the putter. Here it's like, okay, all the ball strikers, like, you know, they're kind of down at the same level because it's so easy. And he really just comes down to like, all right, are you gonna make a putter or not? So you're not be able to gain a little bit more in the field with how his ball striking was at like a Bay Hill or a Harbortown, where at this place, if he's missing 10-foot putts, then
he's fucked.
It's not going to happen.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So there's hope, Austin. I wouldn't be too stressed about Scotty going and you know, pulling up Patriots back in the last decade or so.
2007 Patriots.
Yeah.
We used to boat race everybody. That was fun.
There you go. All right. So Byron, you don't have anybody else on our 100-1?
No. I don't.
All right. Well, I got a couple other guys.
right, come on, who you got?
I also bet Sheamus, by the way, at 50-1. I'll just say one other thing about Sheamus. You mentioned a lot of the easy golf courses. Just to expand on that a little bit. I mean, obviously, one Barbasol, that's a very easy track there. He's got a lot of good finishes at RSM and Sony and Mayakoba. 2 good finishes here. We also just saw that he just found a little bit of form at the Wells Fargo. Maybe some things are turning around. I think 50-1 for a guy who, has been in the mix a lot over the last 2 years, put himself in contention heading into Sunday. I like that number. So I bet him as well. So,
Okay.
All right. Byron, what's your next guy in the card?
So I'm going to be honest with you guys and say I might also pull the trigger on Sheamus because I've got so much money left over. I don't know why I'm in this situation. I just haven't had any conviction. And I've been staring at these guys and I've cashed out like a Tom Kim ticket. I was looking at Tyrrell, all this stuff. But I might jump in on Sheamus with you boys.
Okay.
I will let you know.
Good.
I really do like that play. And that little bit, that smidge, like he comes out of nowhere, won that Bermuda out of nowhere.
Yep.
So definitely like that, especially after last week. Michael Kim, coming out of nowhere, the John Deere Classic where he went and just lapped the field in his only PGA Tour victory, I believe, or whatever. Incredible stuff. And terrible start to the year. Guy's balling out a little bit now. Kind of found his footing on the PGA Tour, figured out he's a little more confident. I think, 7th last week at the Wells Fargo. A little sneaky top 10 there for the guy. So 90-1, I think, is out there, or I think it's been bet down a little bit now, but I got him at 100-1 on Bet Rivers to enhanced odds. Great putter. The ball gained 8 strokes on approach and off the tee last week, which is pretty incredible. And then he's a really good putter too. So some really nice odds there for a guy that can really pop. And he's kind of finding himself on the PGA Tour after a pretty shaky start after graduating from the Korn Ferry.
I like it.
All right. I like that too. Capper, do you have anybody around 90 or 100?
Yeah. So I'm going with Baroff's boy, Jimmy Walker.
Okay.
I might finally start to believe. Now, how old did we say he was yesterday? 45? A little older than we thought. Right? But, I mean, dude, his last 4 tournaments have been rock solid. He was a little shaky off the tee a couple weeks ago, but 2 top 20s. And listen, this field's basically Mexico. And he played better at Wells. And Jimmy Walker's from Texas, yeah? Is that correct?
He's a Texas guy.
Texas guy. Let me have him show up in a bolo, baby. And Jimmy Walker, 90-1. Yeah, I mean, dude, he's literally a former major winner here, 90-1. I feel like the price is kind of wrong. Like, he should be based on his form and his pedigree and being from Texas. The books have shaved numbers for fucking way less. So for the fact that they still leave him at 90, I thought that was pretty good.
Okay,
so I grabbed that.
All right. Well, I also bet Jimmy Walker. I got him at 130 at the beginning of the week, but
cool. So we got a group bet. Let's go, baby.
Hey, all right, Jimmy Walker. So all right. So why don't you expand on it? Why do you like Jimmy Walker then?
Yeah, I got 150 at Bet Rivers on Jimmy. So that was a fancy ass number, which makes me even that's why I've got so much money on the table. So Jimmy, just talk about trending Texas, Walker Texas Ranger type situation and see what he can get up to. There's nothing particular about his game outside of just the fact that he's just playing solid golf and he's from Texas at 150-1 or 90-1, whatever. I think those are just more than enough to sell me on it. He's kind of been revitalized. I think he really was down in the dumps, from hearing all these stories about his Lyme disease and how negative and stuff he was, and playing solid golf. Now he goes back to his home state. Imagine what a crazy narrative that would be. Just from he made it on the number, I think, to get his career earnings exemption or career money list exemption. Right. Yeah, because the live guys left. He was at 65, 15 of them left, and he went to 50th. And now he's on the PGA Tour. And we got outrights on the guy. So talk about a comeback story for the Texas Tornado, and we'll see what he can get up to. I just love what he can get down to in Texas there.
I mean, I think that would be a really good story considering all the battles he's been going for the last couple of years. I remember he was trying everything. I think at Kapalua one year, he switched to a steel shafted driver at one point, trying to figure things out. It was good for one round, and then it went really poorly for him the rest of the time. And then, obviously with the Lyme disease and some back injuries and everything like that. But yeah, that would be a really good story.
How long did the Lyme disease take this guy out for?
It sticks with you.
Yeah,
man.
Oh, no, I know. So my father got it back in the day, and he was fucked up for I don't know. Like, I mean, not like crippled, but he felt the effects for at least a year, if not over a year. So that's why I was wondering how long he was out with the Lyme disease for.
Okay. All right. So I got a couple other guys under 100, but I'll save them to the end since we're going to kind of like long shots right now. I got a couple other guys over 100. How about 150-1 Nate Lashley, who's been bet down a lot. It's about 9-1. You always make fun of me for betting Nate Lashley, but he's been finding some form. He hit the ball really well at the Wells Fargo last week, hit the ball well at Heritage, decent top 40 finish in Mexico. Third place finish in Puerto Rico, a 20th at the Genesis too. I look at his one lone career win at the Rocket Mortgage. He got up to 25 under, so I know he can get to a pretty low number here too. He also has a third at Phoenix. That's it's a Weisskopf. This is essentially a really bad version of TPC Scottsdale. It's also a Weisskopf. So I remember that Cage Lee had a good finish at Phoenix before he won. Seeing a good finish in Phoenix for Nate Lashley. That's a little bit of confidence I have in him. So, 151 for a guy who's playing pretty well, has won a low-scoring tournament before. I'll take that.
Okay.
How about another bomb you got, Byron? You got anybody else?
I'm out. I'm just like scrolling through the 150 board here. I was looking at like Cameron Champ's name. I know this is really weird. I know, but 150-1 long iron savant. Like the guy can absolutely crush a 7-iron 222 to pin high. So, but I haven't bet him. I'm just throwing out names.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to go down this road and talk about a whole bunch of people I'm not betting. But,
we should probably bring out our producer Cameron, who loves Cam.
Cam is obsessed.
He probably would be able to talk you into it. So, don't listen to him though. But
Cameron,
clip that if Champ wins.
Cameron just said, I knew Byron was my favorite.
There you go. All right. Well, then I'll go over the rest of my outright card then. So some other guys are under 100-1. I did bet the Tom Kim number. I got him at 24-1 before the odds plummeted since Spieth came out. I mean, it's a very popular play with him, but look at the tournaments he's won. He won Wyndham where he got to 20 under, won Shriners where he got to 25 under. There's a couple other tournaments where he did very well with some low scoring conditions. That Rocket Mortgage that Finau won last year, came in 7th there, 5th at Kapalua where he was, I think, 23 under, 6th at Amex where everybody was 20 under or more. So these are pretty good tournaments for him. The putter has been up and down, but I have noticed when he's had a really bad putting week, he tends to follow it up a little bit with at least close to field average or maybe a little bit positive. So, kind of like a Scheffler, if I get really good ball striking like he has been doing lately, get a little bit with a putter, considering he's been doing pretty well in easier events. Kind of like him for this place. So 24-1 on Tom Kim. I also bet Taylor Montgomery. That is the king of the really easy golf courses. And I've said this a couple times this week with him that I went over the list of fall events for Taylor Montgomery where, third at Fortinet and what else has he done? Hold on. I just lost my Taylor Montgomery page there. All right. So 5th in Amex, 10th at Mayakoba, 9th at Sanderson. And then when all of a sudden he went to all these golf courses where ball striking mattered, like Phoenix or Torrey Pines or Riviera, he stunk. So maybe he just is kind of meant for these really easy, basically a little harder Corn Ferry type events where he just can drain a bunch of putts, hit it kind of close to the green, hit it 20 feet, do that a lot. At the Amex, he got over 20 under, so I know he can do it. He did very well at Shriners too. So, for a guy who's been in the mix, at least in the fall, and I think this is essentially kind of a fall event in the spring here, I don't mind Taylor Montgomery, even though the ball striking numbers look really terrible on him.
Yeah, but when he was going, he was literally
a guy from Byron's homeland.
What, out in Madagascar?
Yeah, he was lava.
With the putter, man.
Well, yeah. So you're native from Madagascar, actually. Yeah. Christian Bezuidenhout at 70-1. So I bet JJ Spawn at 70-1, and then he unfortunately withdrew. So I had another spot for 70. I saw Christian Bezuidenhout here. The irons have been great. The putter has been great. He's won over in the European Tour. He was in the mix at the Amex earlier this year. He finished 2nd at the John Deere. So I know he can kind of get in the mix in these really low scoring events. Mm-hmm. And I just like the guy. So, and I want to rub in his face when eventually he wins or if he ever wins. So there you go. 71 Christian Bezuidenhout. I don't know if I'm saying the name right, but I try.
Steve, you You're gonna need to bet like $250 on him at 70-1 to get even on how much money you've lost in this button.
Hey,
You know, it's more positionals he screws me over on, and I actually had my finger on a positional for him. I'm like, you know what, you know better. you know when you're sweating that shot tracker and he hits it to 4 feet. I'm like, oh, Bazanu is a great putter. He's going to make this, and then he misses.
Yeah.
I've been through that a lot before. So, but no,
fun.
you know what? Just a 70-1. I can throw it away on Thursday.
There you go.
all right. But before we move on, I want to mention Taylor Montgomery.
Yeah.
Who I've come up with a quote for Taylor Montgomery.
Okay.
He's one of the best golfers in the world, but one of the worst competitors. He's supremely talented when it comes to golf. But when, in a nutshell, that duffed divot 3-wood at the match play.
It was duffed. I thought that's what it was.
He duffed a 3-wood 170 yards into the trees after being on the range for like half an hour waiting for his like playoff hole.
Yeah.
On the Corn Ferry Tour, he had multiple top fives, seconds through 5. Not a single win. Like, he just doesn't. And I'm sorry, Steve, I'm just absolutely shitting on your guy here, but I love him too. And I just don't think he's got what it takes to win. He doesn't know how to win.
Yeah, I had a ticket on him at the Amex when the Amex where
he shanked in the water, and then on 17 at Sawgrass, he took a 10 that thankfully cashed an over round prop for me. That was very nice that day.
Yeah. So watch out on the 16th hole there at the Byron, because if he's in contention, the guys eating their cheesesteaks are going to be in some serious trouble.
Listen, I don't love Montgomery. I just kind of played a little narrative in my head. Like, that's what I had to do with this betting card this week. I'm all right. Like, I'm going to bet a bunch of bums. Like, how can they catch lightning in a bottle? I mean, for God's sakes, I bet 44-year-old Lyme disease ridden Jimmy Walker. You know, I mean, that's basically kind of where my head is at. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right, and then one more, Matthew Neesmith at 175-1. You know, the ball striking has been pretty good his last 2 tournaments. You know, Data Golf estimates he had a pretty good best ball or an own ball performance at Zurich when he finished 4th. Really good tee to green last week. Didn't putt very well. He's got that second at Shriners last fall where everybody was hitting birdies, so I know he can kind of do it. Maybe the fact he's hitting pretty good tee to green recently, finds a little bit form with a putter, see what happens.
He's on my card in a different spot.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. Well, we can talk about that after the break.
After this. Listen, you guys having a hard time meeting great people to date? Why do you keep trying the same methods over and over if you know you're set up to fail? It's time to say goodbye to swiping and bring back the human touch to dating with Talkify. Talkify is the country's #1 modern matchmaking service that is designed to help you achieve relationship success. Their trusted compatibility specialists hand select successful and compelling candidates so you can date consciously and productively. Here's how it works. The Talkify matchmakers meet with you to learn what you're looking for in a partner. They'll select and then screen potential candidates for you, doing background checks, video interviews, and asking the tough questions that you are too awkward for you on first dates. From there, your matchmaker plans your date introductions and handles all the communications for you, creating a safe and stress-free dating experience. Talkify is committed to finding your match. 80% of clients met their person within the first 12 matches. And right now, Talkify is offering our listeners 20% off when you become a client at Talkify.com/SGPN. That's TAWKIFY.com/SGPN for 20% off when you become a client. Talkify.com/SGPN.
Okay. And I want to plug our appearance next Friday at May 19th for the Big Oak Driving Range in East Rochester. We'll be there from 7 to 9. We will have myself. We will have Boston Capper. We will have Andy Lack. We'll have Brian Kirshner. We'll be hanging out on the Top Tracer bays there. They serve beer and wine. So come on over. There's no admission fee. You don't have to pay to get in. Just come over, hang out with us, talk a little bit about PGA. We'll even attempt to do a live show. We'll see how it goes. We'll throw out some bets. We'll recap the first 2 rounds. It'll be a good time by all. So come over to Big Oak Driving Range next Friday, May 19th from 7 to 9 p.m. Meet us. Have a good time. It'll be fun.
Very jealous. Very jealous I'm not out on the East Coast there. As a Jets fan, I should be, you know, if it was during the football season, I might have done a twofer kind of trip.
There you go. Yeah, knock it out.
There you go. Yeah, maybe one day we'll have a little meat grade at the John Deere out here.
Yeah, come on to the heartland, baby. I'll treat you to some John Deere Classic Bush Lights, and we'll have a great time.
there you go. All right, Byron. So we went over the outrights. Do you got anything else in your betting card, like positionals, matchups, any other props like that?
I do. And while Boston Cap was reading his ad there about the dating site, I bet MJ Duffy at 150 to 1.
Right.
So we got a live bet going on the show. Yeah,
Right.
I couldn't resist. And speaking about someone that can pretty much, you can just go nuclear. I think I've seen it happen back home on the Sunshine Tour, and a really good putter on bent grass. So give me the MJ at 150 to 1. Really good putter on bent. I think that's all I need to know. And he's actually been playing solid golf. You know, I think if you take a look at what he was doing at the Wells Fargo, I had a top 40 bet on him at like plus 350, and he finished 48th. And I had, but he's been doing some good stuff. I think he's been playing pretty solid at these non-elevated events. Sign me up for him. South African boy as well. You gotta love that.
I see a 15th of Valero, 19th of Valspar, 21st of Honda. So you're right, kind of like at these off, elevated, not other events, events. Yeah, he's been pretty good. And listen, the 15th in Texas, so clearly he's a Texas guy.
Texas,
like Jason
Africa,
Kokrak,
same thing.
Just like Jason Kokrak.
There you go.
So I was actually looking at a matchup for him. I'm trying to pull it back up. I didn't pull the trigger yet because all right, we could talk about this because the juice was a little much, but we'll see. We'll talk about it.
Okay. All right. So cool. My producer has actually, I'm going to derail the show right now. My producer has left a comment in the YouTube. He's also texted me too. Don't forget his guys. So let's just take care of this right now. I'm never an Austin Smotherman guy, so I'm the wrong guy to give the.
You were literally rooting for him to lose his card.
I was. He doesn't deserve to be on the PGA Tour anymore. There's a lot of other guys that deserve to be on the PGA Tour. So it's him and Max McGreevy. They can hit the bricks. Listen, I'm the wrong guy for the Austin Smotherman. As far as Brandon Wu, I understand he played really well in Mexico, but look at some of his results on some of the easier tracks. The only actually easy track I've seen him do well on is actually Mexico. Otherwise, I don't think he has a top 40 at like a Shriners or John Deere or anything like that. So not a big fan of Brandon Wu this week. Sorry, producer, to disappoint you.
Yeah, I prefer Dylon.
Yes. that should be a matchup on the books every single week, by the way. Battle of the Woos.
That would be great. I actually do prefer Dylon. I actually gave him a look for an outright, but I figured that was stupid. So I have a couple guys who I want to bet top 20 that I have written down that you can laugh at me or tell me that I should bet them.
Okay. All right. Well, back to the show. So Byron, what else is on your betting card this week?
Yeah. And seems though Cam's, he called me the favorite on the show. Yeah. I figured I would just mention that Brandon Wu, from a good shot percentage rate, weighted wise, from all the different proximities, he's fourth in the field. So he's actually sitting up here, 17th in my model. He's the third guy or second guy in the 7K range that's actually showing up in my model. So I don't mind Brandon Wu this week. So Cam, feel free to add extra brownie points to my name there. But Tom Hoagie, T20 bet, interesting character, sitting making the cut at like 44% of the time, basically, or 56% of the time, but T20s, 36% of the time. So 220 for a top 20, Tom Hoagie. I love his upside. He either does it or he doesn't. I'm not going to try and make my money betting a top 40 on him or anything like that. I've got him rated as one of my third best golfers in the field. Sign me up for a top 20 at plus 220.
Wow, that's a solid number.
It's a solid number. He's had some time off. I feel like he's going to make a bounce back. Yeah, those ball striking numbers are just too good to pass up right now.
Okay.
I'm writing that one down.
Very good. All right. So I'm sorry. Do you have any other top 20s? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've got the top 40. You want to do top 40s next? Or
I get some top 20s.
Yeah,
we'll some top 20s
cool.
too, and then we'll go top 40s as well.
Sweet.
So I backed up the outright on Tom Kim with a top 20 plus 115. Again, I just, you go these easier, not elevated terms. It seems like a bunch of these higher echelon names tends to be at the top there. I think Tom Kim's probably going to finish in the top 20, especially with the good ball string numbers. The same thing with Terrell Hatton. The ball string numbers been really good. The putter is there. He finished, I think, 5th at Rocket Mortgage a couple of years ago. That's a very low scoring tournament. Some good finishes at Phoenix. I like that Tom Weiskopf connection there. I think a top 20 finish for Terrell Hatton's in the cards there too. Matt Kuchar, top 20 plus 170. I just feel like, a guy like him makes a lot of birdies, good putter in Texas, a pretty high floor. I like getting pretty good plus money on him. And then Seamus Power, top 20 plus 210. I just really like him this week. So those are my top 20 plays.
All right. So these are the guys. That's funny. So I had Hatton down. I think I'm going to add Hoagie. Cooch, I guess it makes all the sense in the world for Cooch to fuck top 20 here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All the fucking sense in the world.
Yeah.
So
like a cool T14 that gets dead-heated one position.
So I don't have dead heat. I don't have dead heat in this book.
All right, there you go.
So I also had Seamus Powers down. And what's funny is so Byron brought up Michael Kim. I have him down. I want to see what the number is. I'm thinking it's gonna be at least fucking plus 450, 550, something like that. Jimmy Walker, all the reasons we bet him, might as well get a top 20. And then Dylon Wu, I'm gonna take him. He's actually played well in shitty events. I think he's pretty decent for this field. He finished 15th in Mexico, I think. Just missed at the Wells. Like, he's fine in this. Like, I'm perfectly fine with it. And then I'm going back to the well with Carson Young and Sam Stevens because I need to somehow make some money back. And those are like 9-1 and like 6-1 for a top 20. That's great fun to watch until you throw your phone against the wall and smash it.
Exactly. So I'll be looking forward to the mother effer Carson Young. Done with this guy on Saturday or Friday night.
Could be Friday night.
So there you go.
Friday.
All right. So Byron, what top 40s do you have?
Yeah, and just to validate your Matt Kuchar pick there, if I got the number you did, it would have cleared for me. I would have bet that bet, but I got him at plus 125. What did you get? 170?
Actually, I got that wrong. It was plus 150.
Okay. Either way,
still pretty close.
Steve always gets the good numbers. It's fucking annoying.
I know, dude. That was like, wow. Those are some
I have
numbers.
I have an offshore that is very generous, and I actually recently discovered they stopped dead heating, and so that combination right there, most of my positions now are with my offshore.
Ooh. Yeah, but the problem is
bet online.
That's right. We can mention. We can
mention all the books now. Bet online actually. I don't know if they just aren't looking at paying attention anymore, but they stopped dead heating, and their positionals. They don't do top 40s, but they do top 10s and 20s. They're usually as good or better than any of the books that dead heat. They usually give you a little better pricing.
Nice.
So that's what most of my positions have been going lately.
Awesome. Well, good for you.
Thank you.
That's got me real jealous.
I figured out how to use crypto, so that's the only way I'd be able to use them or take money out. So.
Dude, that was the scariest thing in the world for me because you know how bad I am with technology. And like, I got to copy this fucking link after buying it and I send it and I'm like, it's just in the fucking ether. How do I know it's really going to get there? And then like waiting for the confirmation for like 10 minutes. It's not worth it for me. It's too fucking stressful.
Yeah. And then you hear horror stories about people lose their passkey to their wallet and then they just lose it. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. It's not great. Did I just describe you, Byron?
I just went from heaven to hell there in a quick minute, boys. That was quite a comebacker.
There you go. All right, so top 40 bets.
Top 40. I've only got one. Ryan Moore plus 440.
Ooh. All right.
At FanDuel.
We're betting all the washed up guys. I love
it. Really good irons, solid putting, finished inside the top 40 in 2 of his last 8 starts. And if you're going to tell me that he does that, at plus 400, the math checks out, insert Will Ferrell gift there. And I think it's a solid bet. It's a fun one, like kind of a Boston Kappa territory there at plus 450, higher than Scotty Scheffler is to win the tournament. And he's got to finish inside the top 40. So sign me up for that. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Like it. So I backed up a outright with Jimmy Walker top 40 plus 165. And then because I'm a glutton for punishment, Nate Lashley top 40 plus 175. Let's go.
At least you can cover the outright.
Wow. Knock on wood on that. We'll see. So 2 other top 40s I have. I thought Ryan Palmer top 40 plus 190 was a pretty good price on FanDuel, considering he's done well here. Texas guy. Just had a pretty good showing at the Wells Fargo with a pretty good ball striking performance there. Carried over to Texas. I like that. And if we're just going to go with washed up old guys, how about Kevin Chappell? I got him for top 40 plus 280. He's been playing some pretty good golf too. T24 in Mexico, T39 Valero, T16 Corrales, T15 Puerto Rico, T29 at the Honda. So he's won in Texas before. He won the Valero. I think he's actually an actual Texas guy too. So, like Jimmy Walker, maybe he's found a little something. And if he has, I'll take for a top 40 on him at, almost 3-1. So,
yeah.
All right, there you go.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. You got any? You do any first round leaders, Byron?
Dude, I don't, because I hit 5 first-round leaders last year, and I never even made my money for a full return because I got 3 of them were in the same tournament, and I got dead heated by 6, and then 2 of them were in the next tournament, and they were dead heated by 5. So after like hitting 5 first-round leaders and not even getting the full payout in 2 events, I was just like,
that's fair.
I can't do it. I just am so bad at that bet. So
it's fun. It's just a fun Thursday. But I say fun, but I'm fucking miserable by the end of the day.
Oh yeah, no, I'll play Showdown. I'll play like DFS Showdown instead. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, so
all right,
I'll have those out tomorrow.
There you go. All right. Well, before we get out of here, I want to pick Byron's brain about the PGA. Obviously, we have that next week. I think a lot of us are looking forward to next week.
Yes.
So I guess, like, have you done any preparation on Oak Hill? What's your kind of view on it? Is there any guys on your radar right now? Where you kind of stand right now heading in?
Have you done any prep on Oak Hill? And can you give me the course breakdown? And I'll
We're not doing a fucking full course breakdown tonight.
Well, absolutely no, just tell me the highlights. What am I looking for from a golfer? What am I trying to figure? Because you know me, I guess we're all so busy doing all this stuff, but I haven't even looked at Oak Hill. I've called it the US Open multiple times on air. So, it's just been one of those types of situations. I'll get to it on Friday, but I do have a few guys in mind that I'll mention.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I live 5 minutes from the course, and I have a lot of intimate knowledge. I used to caddy there when I was a teenager, been to all the tournaments here. So it underwent a very major renovation recently, though. They brought in Andrew Green. Basically, the problem with Oak Hill was it just, it's known for all its trees. It has an acorn that's a cute puppy. All right, you just derailed me on the.
Anyway, he's been pawing on my leg for like 20 minutes. Like,
all right. Anyways, I mean, it has a goddamn acorn as its logo there, and it got really overgrown. It got really tight. That's why you saw in 2013 with Jim Furyk or Duffner or Henrik Stenson or Jonas Boyce, all these short, accurate plotters did really well that year. Well, they opened up the golf course. They cut down a lot of trees. They renovated a couple holes. There's been some holes that Tom Fazio did back in the 70s and 80s that just looked really ugly, didn't fit the golf course. So they brought back to its Donald Ross roots. They expanded the greens. They squared off the edges to create some more pin positions. Cut down some trees, change it from bent poa to bent grass greens, lengthened the golf course too. And the biggest thing they did, and this is kind of throwing me through a loop here, is so these fairway bunkers, they pushed them out to where they're going to be the driving zones. They're legitimate hazards now, where if you hit into them, you're not making the green. It's essentially you're splashing out with a wedge and then trying to get up and down for like your third. So, that's going to be really challenging. These are going to be really narrow fairways too, really thick rough. It's going to be a little interesting to see, like, okay, in 13, it was all right, short, accurate guys. Could it be now that if no one's hitting fairways, do you just want to hit it as far as you can? It kind of looks like a little bit like a Bethpage Black or, even that Harding Park PGA a couple of years ago where it was really narrow, it was thick, rough. The fairways were kind of soft. So, even though Morikawa won it because he hit 75% of his fairways, the rest of that top 10 was just bombers. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact, like, does hitting fairways still matter here? Regardless of the fact, I mean, I think just how guys are nowadays with their drivers, everybody hits it long and straight. The best players are hitting it long and straight. It's a different time than 13. So I think I'm going to shade more towards length. I do think if you are a shorter guy, you got to have a really good week hitting a lot of fairways and be really good with your long irons. Otherwise, you got really no shot. So those are kind of the guys I'm kind of looking for this week.
What's the word on the rough?
The rough is probably going to be 3.5 inches. It's very consistent with some of the other, PGA championships they've had recently. What's different about this rough, though, is that in May, the grass is as thick and dense as it's going to be all year. It's very healthy. So even though it's 3.5 inches, if your ball sits down, like toast. you're not advancing at all. It's going to twist the club head. It's going to be a disaster.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So,
Byron, what's your thoughts on a scale of 1 to 10? How big of a mental midget is Rory?
Oh, yeah, he's got a lot on his plate. Boston Cap.
It's a very nice way of putting it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, look, I think anytime the month of April rolls around, Rory's mojo just gets absolutely deflated,
zapped.
It's not his time of the year. So hopefully he can kind of get through that. But Yeah, look, it's tough. I don't necessarily. I've never been a big Rory, advocate in the betting market, at least, and I agree.
I like it.
Can't quite step up to the plate when it matters most. I would say, like other people can.
There you go. All right. So, do you have anybody on your radar for next week then?
Yeah, I was thinking, like, while you're mentioning this, down the board, a Keegan Bradley at like 80-1. I know Boston's a big fan out in the East Coast there, the upper area.
Yep.
Thinking he's long off the tee, accurate as well. He's one of the few guys that's actually really accurate for the length that he does have, which sounds like you're going to need this week or next week, sorry, to be able to be pretty accurate off the tee, like you mentioned. He appeals to me quite a lot way down the board there. And then it just is it John Rahm or Scotty Scheffler that wins this thing, basically, because that's the next thing. Like, is Keegan even worth it? Maybe at 80, yes, but I'm not going to mess around anywhere in the mid tiers there. It's Scotty or Rahm, in my opinion, if that's what we're going to be needing.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Scotty's putt is going to look like this week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the combination of length and accuracy you're going to get with Rahm or Scotty, just like it reminds me of a narrower Murfield Village, and both those guys have done really good there.
What about Brooks?
I mean, Brooks, if you're making the Bethpage comparison, like there's a lot of holes where you can hit that power fade. Like on hole number 9, that's going to be a really pivotal hole for a lot of these guys. It's 486 up the hill. You got a bunker that's about 330 in the distance. No one's getting there, but where the fairway dog lights, it's about 280. So a guy, if he hits a dead straight, is going to probably run into the rough. You hit a nice power fade up that fairway. Like, that's a huge edge. Like, anybody can hit that shot this week is going to be pretty golden.
Nice.
Also, if such a square, but Cam Young, it just makes so much sense to me that he'd play well up there from the upper, Well, isn't he from the Bronx? Didn't they say it on the broadcast one time?
I mean, that's a cool 6.5 hours from Rochester. There's actually last year the ESPN was they predicted Cam Young to win this PGA because they said the hometown crowd was behind him. And let me tell you, with a town full of Buffalo Bills fans, they don't like them city folk 6 hours away. So but yeah, I'm sure everybody's gonna be leaping over Allen's Creek, racing to follow Cam Young up the 13th hole. I'm sure. So, but no, I mean, the argument for Cam Young is if you do miss, you want to miss big because you're going to miss outside of those bunkers. So, and the golf course is open up where before, if you miss big, you're in trees, you're punching out. Here, you can actually hit over a tree. You might have a clear view into the green. There are openings into all the greens where you can kind of bounce the ball in, similar to Winged Foot. That strategy theoretically could work for him. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to carry a lot of these bunkers, though, if he's slightly offline based on either temperatures. It's going to be kind of, 60, 65. Ball's not going to fly quite as far. And where some of these bunkers are, you kind of need like a 315, 320 carry, which, Cam Young theoretically could do it, but in 65-degree temperatures, if he mishits it just a little bit, it's not going to carry. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how he does this event, especially considering the really disappointing finish he had at Quail Hollow. So
gross.
Yeah.
Speaking of, how about Patrick Cantley as well? I'm just kind of thinking of guys who are really good off the tee, and Cantley's gone elite area, not necessarily Rami kind of spaces, but he's been really good off the tee lately. And
I just don't trust him in majors. Just don't do it.
Well, I mean, all right. So he had a top 10 of the Open, and he was in the mix of the Masters.
Yeah,
I think he's kind of figured it out. Backdoor. He wasn't even on my fucking TV at the Open. Like, I think I saw 3 shots of his. He was not in contention.
You just don't like his slow play. All right, that's really where.
I fucking hate it. I hate it, and I hate his stupid tongue and his stupid fucking putting routine. I hate it all. And he won me back after the Ryder Cup, but that shit's gone now.
Okay.
I hate him again.
All right. I will say that I think this type of setup is something Cantley's going to enjoy. He criticized a sub like Winged Foot. He praised something like Olympic Club, where he talked about he gave kind of an arrogant answer, but
no way.
He talked about the mowing lines at the Olympic Club, where if you actually hit it dead straight, it was actually a lot fairer. Where at Winged Foot, if you just hit it dead straight, it was going to roll into the rough. And so I think actually the mowing lines where I looked at it looked kind of fair for a guy who's going to hit it out there 300. If he hit it dead straight, it's going to stay, especially with the soft fairways. So, when he has been in the mix of some of the last majors, hits a pretty long and straight, good accuracy numbers, good length numbers too. Good on bentgrass greens, good at like a Murfield Village. He actually finished third at that Bethpage Black PGA. There's a lot of things actually to kind of like about Cantlay next week.
So is it the USGA that sets up the US Open, right? They do the US Open.
Correct.
And then who sets
correct.
up the PGA? Because I think Canty's got to stick up his ass about the USGA.
It's PGA of America, which has
PGA
actually been praised for some of the more fair setups.
So I think
they typically want like a winning score between like 5 and 9 under. That's why I said they always set the rough about 3.5 inches. It's going to be a very fair PGA setup.
Test the golf.
Yeah, it's not going to be a whole lot of tricks or nonsense or anything like that. So this is going to be a really good tournament. I'm really looking forward to it next week. And hopefully a guy like I don't know, Matthew Neesmith doesn't end up winning this thing, because we've had some dud PGA winners at Oak Hill recently. So let's get a big boy winning this.
Get
thing.
a big boy. All right. I like it.
No Sean McKeel's getting plaques on 18. Okay.
Christ.
Jeez.
All right, Byron, tell everybody where they can find you and plug whatever you want to plug.
Thank you, gentlemen. Before I do that, thank you so much for having me on the show. You guys are always a great time. Just love hashing it up with you boys. At the Model Maniac on Twitter, and everything I pretty much do is at rotoballer.com. Grab me there. Use code Maniac for 10% off if you want to grab the premium stuff. And then Back 9 Bets, baby. That's my podcast. Every Monday and Tuesday, we do the Rainmaker Runway, which is on Mondays at 8 Eastern, and then my actual solo show on a Tuesday, which is at 7 Eastern on a Tuesday. So, lots of fun. And as always, gentlemen, thank you so much.
I love having you on, man. We appreciate you coming on. Steve, got anything else, buddy?
No, that's it. I have a very busy week. Next week, I have a lot of busy things to do before we prepare for our preview show. Maybe might even get a bonus show on Saturday night. So stay tuned. I got to talk to my producer about that. But I got something in mind that I might be revealing before our Sunday show, because it's going to be otherwise our Sunday show is going to be like 3 hours, and we can't do that. So I have a lot of things to say about Oak Hill. So
I'm sure you do.
Yes,
I'm sure you do. All right. We'll go find Steve in our Discord channel, which I figured out now, by the way.
Crap! I can't mush your guys anymore without you knowing.
Maybe that'll fucking help my outrights at this point. So why don't you go ahead and start fucking mushing them? Okay?
Fine. Okay. I'll treat you like you did with me, Russell Henley, at the Sony Open in 2021 or 2022.
I mean, for God's sakes, man.
I'm never gonna forget that. It was a 3-day death march of you trying to mush him, and then finally the tree collapsed after you're chopping it down for 3.5 days.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing.
God.
It was a beautiful
Up
thing.
5 with 9 to go. Are you fucking kidding me?
Love it. Good memories. All right, you guys can find me on Twitter, at Boston_Capper. You just find me there, man. Just hit me up there. Other than that, huge week next week. Got a big boy tournament again, thank God. But hey, let's try to fatten that bankroll this week to go ahead and have some more money to spend at the PGA. Later.